Yeah, you are in the camera now.
He's a camera guy. Yeah. Like,
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
he's not afraid.
he's probably
of
more
camera.
comfortable than us.
Yes,
No
definitely.
stage fright.
You can.
Oh,
no,
well,
maybe
I would not do that. It's gonna be a big fall because it's not attached.
Dobra, it's not just-
It's gonna pain,
Yeah.
big pain in the yes.
So, hi Attila, nice to meet you finally again in person after
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah.
couple of what,
like
interviews?
4 years,
About?
something. Because Greg has been following and supporting me for 4 years now on Patreon, which is amazing. But we've been in touch like every once in a while.
Yeah,
Sometimes more often, sometimes a little more rare.
sometimes of course like
Yeah.
life happens, but
Yeah. But it's so nice to see you and the family here.
and
It's amazing.
So that's my son.
Yes. Hopefully he's
I'm a
He's gonna-
Casper.
Casper. Yes.
Once we finally met, like in person, because there was pandemic, and I was like always wanted to go like for some concert, and I was
Yeah.
like it's like always going around Poland, and I'm living in Poland, so finally we just came to Budapest to see this beautiful city, and
Yes.
it was a good occasion to meet finally.
Oh yeah.
So since we're here,
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to ask you a couple of questions about like how did you started with like the music industry? What was like your first steps? What got you into like metal music? And
Right.
in the first place, like, what got you to playing guitar? What was the
Right.
what was the trigger? What was this
Right.
like
So I try not to tell the story from Eve and Adam because that's how usually I do it. But because it's a long story, it's a gradual thing. I was how old are you, Casper, now? Like
9 years.
9 years old. Okay, so I was almost your age when like third grade in school. Third grade.
third grade? Yeah. So it's like you just finished. third
Yeah.
grade.
Okay. So like next year, when you turn into 9, that's when I first heard Clawfinger.
Oh.
It was a classmate of mine whose brother was a fan, and he brought it in like this cassette player and a cassette, and he showed me that song, and I immediately got hooked. And since my dad used to own and still does own a music store, it was very easy access to the music. So I asked him when I got home, like, hey, I want to listen to this. Can you make a copy for me? And of course, he knew the band. He loved the band. And so he made a cassette that on the A side, there was this song and some other that he put on. And on the B side, he put his favorite song, like Motorhead, AC/DC, Deep Purple, and stuff like that, which I didn't like at the time. It was too soft. Still a little too soft. But no, so I felt that there must be something heavier than that. So I asked my dad if he could show me something heavier. And then very early on, he showed me Chaos AD from Sepultura, which was like, oh my God, that's just like another game changer. And I was still 10 at the time or something like that. I still thought that there must be something heavier than this. So I literally asked him to show me something heavier than that. And that's when he gave me Official Live from Pantera, the live album. And when I first heard New Level, the guitars, the scratchings, and then Phil's yell, it was my life was changed forever. So that was a big milestone when it comes to music and me playing guitar and all that. And even though my dad used to play and still does play some instrument, and my uncle plays guitar, and he's more of a well-known player in Hungary. He's a bass player. They never really listened. My dad never really listened music home. He never played any instruments home, so I didn't have any I didn't see it home. But later on, when I was 14, in a summer camp, 2 guys brought some acoustic guitars with them, and we sat around in a circle, and the guitar just was being passed around, and they showed us how to play Deep Purple on 1 string. And because I could do it like almost instantly, I was like I was better than the others. That was a big feedback for me, so I enjoyed that part. But also, very soon, in the next couple of days, I could figure out how to play Nothing Else Matters on open strings. I was like, this is the Nothing Else Matters. Yeah. Oh my God. So that was a gigantic feedback for me. And so when I went home from that summer camp, I told my parents that I want to play guitar. And I want to play the electric guitar. And since they've been very supporting to me, which is also a big part of the whole story, for the next Christmas and my birthday, which are close together, I got my first guitar, which was a B series guitar. And then I started to play on my own. Like almost from day one, we went down with a friend of mine and then with other people in rehearsal places to jam, which was a big part of my upbringing. And because I had an ear for it and I had some positive feedback on learning something by ear, like for example that Metallica thing, I started to doing that from day one almost, which is it's a big thing for my playing and my approach.
I think it's also like a part of like our times, because we're pretty much in the same age.
Right. Yes.
Close enough. So
Yes.
like back in the days, there was no like tabs
No
on
YouTube.
internet. Like there was no YouTube. There was no like tutorials, and like if you got some
Yes.
tabs, like, and it was usually like in some text formats. So it was
Yeah.
like all, you know, it was never like accurate. So it was like difficult to
never.
learn something. So that was the way to learn, by ear.
Right. And also many times, like, I mean, I could figure out something by ear, and that was, you know, again, a great loop, a good feedback of loops. And but also when I went to see shows, I tried, and if I couldn't figure out certain parts, I was just watching their hands, how they were doing. Like for example, there was a part in I think it was Hell Awaits or Dead Skin Masks from Slayer. That one part that I couldn't figure it out, and I was watching what they were doing, and then I was like, oh, now I know. So when I went home, I found it, and so these like step-by-step things were being super helpful. And of course, just rewinding the CD or the cassette, that was the thing.
Yeah, if you could like slow it down, or like it was quite, I'm not sure if it was your case as well, but like figuring out what tuning is that, because
Yeah.
you know, there was like, I knew just about like one tuning at the time,
Right.
at the time when I was starting to learn, and like
Hmm.
it was difficult to like figure out that, okay, this band is actually like one step down or something.
Right.
So
I guess with in my case, the thing was that I didn't want to go to a teacher for a while, and so I wasn't told how and what to do, like even regarding tunings. So just myself, I figured it out. Like I should just tune it to the lowest note in the song. So I didn't know if what was the tunings and what.
Okay.
I just knew that this was different. This was lower or something. So
yeah,
I just did it my way, and which was also super helpful up until a certain point.
definitely. It's like
Up until a certain point.
up until-
Yeah, and again, there was like a lot of success in it. Or like for myself, I was like, oh my god, I can do this and that, and just. So I was just playing my favorite songs for a year and a half or so, and then eventually I went to a teacher who showed me how to play solos and stuff. And he, of course, gave me some homework to do, and those I worked on a little bit, and he showed me, different phrasings and whatnot. And I always used to really, like interested in the phrasings as well, not only the shred. Of course, I wanted to shred a lot.
Yeah.
But the bendings and all that was very interesting for me too.
I think it's something that is really lacking in modern music. That there's like a lot of shredders, but not really many people who can actually play all the bands, all the stuff. And
right, and on the other hand, their technical level of playing got just so much better, and then they. It's cool. I like it.
You want to ask something?
Yeah. Shoot me a question.
Should me. Zadaj pytanie jakieś.
Po polsku.
Ja, może być po polsku, ja przetłumaczę. Masz jakieś pytanie?
Maybe later.
Maybe.
You don't have.
So, do you remember what song was like the one that you were able to play like at all?
From top?
From the beginning to the end?
I think there's two songs that came to mind. One was Sweet Leaf from Black Sabbath, but the Godsmack interpretation, their cover from the Nativity in Black album, which is a really heavy one. It's tuned.
So you already
lower.
started from like a...
Yeah, the heavy one. And the second one, it's a guilty pleasure, which I told you about before. It was Limp Bizkit's Take a Look Around. That song, that the Mission Impossible soundtrack, I've always loved, especially that part was so heavy. So, and also it was just very like intricate and interesting with the clean parts and all the dynamic changes. So those two songs I think were the first ones.
How old were you when you started the first band, or you joined the first band?
Yeah, so I think I was 17 maybe, 16, 17 when I first joined to a classmate friend of mine, his band, and we actually with that band, I played 2 shows with them, like maybe after another year or something. But we like regularly rehearsed at least twice a week. There was a great rehearsal room we could go down to, so it was amazing. For sure.
Nice.
Yes.
So kind of like early start, and you know, and you
Kind of
had
like-
all the like you started like early, like in a you were young enough to
Yeah.
kind of, like,
I mean,
develop
some
the
people
skill
start like, you know, earlier, but when I started, like around 15, 16, it was a very quick
yeah.
involvement in many cases. So I didn't stay home only practicing. I went down, which was a big thing, I think, in my playing, for sure. And then soon I started to play with other bands, like gradually, like more well-known bands in the underground scene.
How many hours per day, more or less, have you been practicing? Like,
Right. So I wouldn't necessarily call it practicing. I always played what I could play and what I enjoyed. To me, it was especially the first few years. It was only about just having fun. I really hated to sit down and just work stuff out.
yeah,
But gradually, I just got better, and also because we were learning cover songs, I had to prepare for that. So that was a practice session, just figuring out the songs, and then going down to rehearsal places and do mistakes. That was also like a big practice for me. So failing was a big part for me. I think it's better to fail in a circumstances when it's a rehearsal or a show, because it's, you know, the risks are bigger there. So the focus is bigger also, I think.
yeah. But you also like learning if like even this early shows, like, you know, if you make mistake, then you cannot stop. You just show must go on. You gotta play. You know.
Oh yeah,
just to keep it.
yeah.
So that's the kind of like it's a part of playing in a band. So
Right.
It's not the
Yes.
same as playing the instrument. I mean, it's
And playing home, when you can make a mistake, nobody will see it.
Yeah.
It's just you can do it more freely. Whereas on a show, it's, you know, it's on and it's on, and then show must go on.
the show must go on.
Yeah.
So what is your like your routine for like before show, or like how do you prepare for a show?
Mm-hmm. It usually goes like, I mean, like maybe half an hour before the show, I just, you know, dress up, start to stretch a little bit, just chill down. I want to go down before the show, because I can go up really fast. And if I'm too high energy before the show, I can get anxious during the first few songs, and it's harder for me to control. So I love when it's from a more chilled place from the beginning. It used to be a little different. I used to just pump myself up, but I learned over the years that it's better for me if I chill down.
I know, but maybe not everyone like knows what was your like first the band that you joined in. It was like this professional level. And
Right. Yeah, that was an insane story. It was during the time of MySpace, when, long story short, through MySpace, I got in contact with Nevermore, and then, which was after Pantera, my second ever, favorite band, and Jeff Loomis being the second favorite guitarist of all time for me after Dimebag.
Yeah, he's a good.
Yeah, for sure. But like, it's not only the solo playing, but it's just the rhythms and the songs are a big part. And there's a lot of groove and simplicity also mixed with his technicality. But yeah, so it was very influential on me, and I got to play with them, which was ridiculous. And that was the time when I was on tour with them, when I kind of realized that, okay, I guess this is what I do for a living now, and it's awesome. So it was very gradual, but I don't know, big steps for sure.
Yeah. So, but basically, like, what was like, since it was like one of your guitar heroes, playing with Jeff and like getting in a band, how was it for you? Like, how did they like took you to the band? Because from what I've heard, they're like really down to earth people, and like
Right. There were so many like deep waters I found myself into, especially in those early days. I was 23 when I first joined to Warhol Dane's solo band, and then it was the second to the last show in Seattle from that first tour that I did with them, when we played in Seattle and Jeff was there, and I met him the day before, because we had a day off, and it was already talked about like I might join the band, because at the time Chris was already out in Megadeth. Yes, so they were looking for a second guitarist, and so I was kind of was shitting my pants when I got to Jeff's place. I mean, I went there to his place, and then we were just the two of us jamming together. But I mean, I was probably like over prepared. I knew the songs pretty well, which they also sent me Obsidian Conspiracy, which it wasn't out at the time. I was like, oh my god! So I learned that as well, and he was super cool. He made me feel absolutely totally comfortable. He never said anything like you shouldn't play this like that. I mean, if I played something like wrong notes, he pointed that out. But I had a lot of freedom also in how I approached things, and I could react to him on shows, and everybody else was super friendly and supportive thing with me from day one. And like there was big milestones. The first one was me going over Jeff's house, and I survived that. So that gave me a lot of confidence. But then when the first show happened, it was in Germany in a festival in a gigantic stage. I've never been to a stage that size before that. I was very nervous, but it's kind of a silly story. We went on stage like a little late because they haven't played a show for 2 years or so at that time. And so they were anxious about the show, which helped me being more comfortable, because I saw my idols being like, normal human beings and being afraid of going up. I was like, I can do this. And then when the intro was rolling, Van shouted at me like, Attila! And he asked me how the first song starts, which was Termination Proclamation, which I have to make a lesson to, I remember now. The riff, it's a very intense riff. I tried to like sing to him. It's like that. But when I did that, when I first heard him saying that, I was like, I'm gonna be all right. But then there was another big milestone for me. It was the third show when we played in, I think it was in Austria, in a festival where there was a lot of rain and my feet got wet and I didn't have another shoes to change. So I couldn't really get warmed up because my feet were cold. And I remember we were playing River Dragon Has Come, and then the uni solo in it, which we played together, were coming, and inside my head I was like, I cannot do this, I want to go home. So there was a big debate in my hand, like, no, I can do this, and on my other shoulder I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put down the guitar, cry, and go home. And I just managed to pass that phase and just own my thing and deliver. And that was a great feedback again. Like, I could do this. I can count on myself. I'm gonna be fine. So yeah, these were the big steps, I guess. But they were super down to earth, still up to this day. Everyone.
Great. It's like the same with me. Like, Nevermore was like since our first. I think it was Enemy of Reality album that I heard as the first. So it was like I was kind of like coming back to the older albums, but each album was like for me.
Which one's your favorite?
Which
if
one
you
is
can
my favorite?
pick.
Actually, I would say it's kind of like I don't know if it's because of like it's because of the vibe and of the concept, but I think Dreaming Neon Black is my favorite. So it was like. It's a very dark album, like the whole story, like, but it's like a concept and.
Yeah, they're all so different.
They are very different.
Still, like, it's like Pantera. It's like every album is different. You can tell after one note that it's them, but still it's so different vibe, different color, different atmosphere.
But I think it's like it's something that makes bands interesting. Like they are not like repeating themselves, like re-recording the same album.
Not every fan likes that though, but I've always thought the same. Like I love when there's a surprise element to it, and from bands like them, I could always expect that. And it's Nevermore is one of those bands, of course, because when I got to know Pantera, there was only one album left that they could pull it out, and I was waiting for, which was Reinventing the Steel. But I first heard Nevermore before Enemies, so when that was coming out, I was already a fan, and it was just, that's a big joy to get an album like that, and all the songs are perfect, and the whole voyage of the tracks. It's just a journey, and all the albums are like,
it was the
Voyager, yeah.
this record.
Oh yeah, it's crazy song. But then when Godless Endeavor came out, it was like.
Was there like anything like particularly difficult for you to learn from like Nevermore stuff?
I think one of the hardest songs that we did not end up playing, and we never rehearsed it, was Insignificant from that hard. It has a very weird tuning, like some open tunings I don't remember, and like big stretches and difficult chords. And I being a metal guitarist, playing chords and clean stuff came much later. So I could play solos and riffs and whatnot, but if I had to just do some strummings or some arpeggios, like slow chords, I failed miserably. So in that sense, that was probably the most difficult, but we didn't play that, unfortunately, and fortunately. But I mean, I think I struggled the most with Seven Tongues of God. I just didn't really feel the rhythms. I think it's a Pat O'Brien riff that just always threw me off.
It's a bit of like a cannibalish, cannibal corpse.
Yeah, right. So that vibe was very unusual for me. Everything else was just, I remember, just pure joy to learn and practice and play. So I don't know. Yeah.
So you must have been like probably technically like on the level that.
Yeah, at that time, I could pull that off for sure. And because of I was such a fan, I even prior I got in touch with them, I already knew some songs. So there was some parts which I showed them later.
If they haven't played for like years.
Yeah. It's like, how is this going? What? It's awesome. Yeah. But Seven Tongues of God, definitely, that was, and now I remember one that I was like.
I gotta come back to this one. I mean, I was like really listening to it like countless hours, but still,
I can totally relate. It's one of those few bands where pretty much the entire catalog is great, and just and 80% is beyond great for me, for my taste. And there's a very few bands like that.
And after that, like because it's like it's split up, unfortunately. Like
yes.
Yeah,
that was very sad that I, as a fan, that I had to, witness that from up close. But so, in the meantime, with Leander, a Hungarian guy who we met during my time with Nevermore, we founded a band called Leander Rising, and that rose pretty fast, actually, in a Hungarian local scene. So when Nevermore ended, I was already playing shows in nice venues and for quite a lot of people in Hungary with that band. So there wasn't really a switch there. I just ended up not touring abroad that much. Yeah, so that was the transition.
As you can see, I think the Hungarian scene, like metal scene, is quite strong. So there's like a couple of really good bands.
Yeah. Okay, in that sense, yes.
I think Lazarus.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I saw some. I haven't been to the show, but I saw the shows, like the video, and
it's amazing.
Crazy.
It's
so good, like so energetic.
Yeah, it is.
And Hell Freaks as well.
Hell Freaks is also amazing, super energetic, great musicians and great songs. So yes, there's a bunch of really great bands for sure.
It's like a part of the scene. So
yeah, but I mean, it's like in most places, it's still underground.
But I think Hungary is a little bit higher in Poland in that terms, that the rock music is more like present in media or like in the radio. So if you just turn off like just a random radio, like
really
in a car, so then there is some sort of rock music. So
I honestly cannot answer that because I've never listened to radio and
I'm just
anything like
traveling
that.
sometimes, so.
Yeah. No. I believe you. There must be some differences between the countries and all that, but it's still underground.
Still underground. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much the same with Poland. So we have we have like a really big bands like Behemoth, like Vader, like Decapitated,
Right.
and those guys are like worldwide famous.
Mm-hmm.
But in Poland,
So, but do you think that if they would only play in Poland, that they could still make a living off of it?
I don't think so. I don't think like Polish scene, like we have a really, maybe not just a few, but a lot of bands which are really
Right.
professional. So you just when you go into the gig, they really deliver, but they cannot make it for life for living.
Right.
So you just basically have to kind of like have some. You either play like in a couple of bands and just maybe I don't know, maybe you're a tech for some bigger band,
Right.
or you just have to get like a regular job or maybe some part-time job and just do it like.
Yeah, I was asking because the situation sounds very similar to what we have here in Hungary, because there's one like punk rock band that's pretty big, and it's been big for the past 35 years. Not that, but they've been around for that long, and that's the top level. And there's a bigger jump. There's a medium level who can make a living, but there's no wealth in it.
Yeah.
But if they do what they love, and that for most people I know that it's enough. But below that, you have to have a second job or something like that in order to be able to sustain that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a bit sad, but I think it's like you're not playing music to become rich. If you want to just become rich, you're gonna do some pop stuff.
Yeah, I did not become rich, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. But yeah, I think that's what I see, and that's what I hear, and that's what I read about. That it's you only do this if you love certain or most aspects of the whole thing. Otherwise, it's just a struggle.
But I think it's like the same for us, for musicians, and as for fans. That it's a kind of passion, and like
Right.
I don't see like any other genre that has such devoted like fans and and musicians, because let's be honest, the amount of time that you have to practice to like pull off to the level and just be able to kind of like be professional musician is not equal to like we have some disco band and guys just playing with the
I hear what you mean, but I mean
not just
no, there's levels to it,
stuff.
because there's more people listening to that kind of electronic music and whatnot. So in that sense, there's more potential there if you want to make a living off of it. But I agree that it's less people, but they're more devoted. You can count on them. If once you have that fan base, it's easier to sustain. It doesn't come and go with the trends that easy. So yeah, it's I feel like it's in a balance. But my life has been full of luck and success on my level and great feedbacks. So I cannot complain.
But it was like it had to be some hard work as well. I mean, maybe smart work, not hard work. Like that's the word. But
it's
to be able to get to Nevermore like in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
20.
That's an extreme story. That's an
So-
extreme story for sure, and it's not the playing that got me there. I mean, you have to be able to play the songs, but at the end of the day, it's a personality kind of part as well. So I got a little closer to Voros before, so that made me possible to sit down with Jeff, and with Jeff. Maybe with his case, I never asked him, but it might have a little more to do with the playing, but also the personality. Like we always got along. So I think personality has a bigger chunk at the end of the day, and also you have to have a little bit of luck. Like the timing for me was perfect, which but also I'm like it's it's a bigger story. Like my parents being supportive, that's also a big part of the story. So it's hard to see it without just missing one piece of the whole picture. It would probably go another totally different way.
Do you still have this BC Rich that your first
I
guitar?
I do. Let me get it.
Okay.
Maybe just
maybe
start it over. But what do you mean?
Weather. That's like
Oh yeah, that's
in the weather.
would be a fresh, refreshing. So B series, the first guitar.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it.
So
Should I help you with that?
yeah, I got stuck here a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it's not in the best possible condition at the moment, but I have an explanation for that, and you'll see why. It's in two pieces now. One is the neck. Because we just sanded it. I wanted to make it into like a V-shaped profile. It used to be a regular C shape. It's now very thin and
very thin,
super pronounced V. And my plan is to make it a dime bolt graphic design on it.
Oh, so you have somebody who can just do it for you? Or?
I want to do it.
You want to do it yourself?
I want to do it myself, with some help, of course. Because I don't know how.
That's like an ebony fingerboard, right?
No,
Looks
it's just we put some
stain
on it, yeah, and it's rosewood. Okay, I
looks,
got it.
looks decent.
Yeah, it looks darker, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like
So this is the second
man,
part of
like
the
the
piece.
graphics.
Yeah, so it used to look. I'll try to find a picture and just put it here. It used to have like a pinkish snake skin graphic design on it, which was awesome. I loved it. But then I met these luthier guys, and they knew someone who could do crazy paint jobs.
Like a basswood or?
I have no idea. It's like
it's like
yeah,
it's not mahogany,
not mahogany, and yeah, some cheaper wood. So I just asked him because I'm a huge Slayer fan, of course. So I asked him to make it. That was what I said. Just make it evil and put on a Slayer logo. That's all what I said, I guess. So he put the Slayer logo on the pickup. Here, I don't know, you can probably see on the pickup.
Yeah.
It's their pickup, the luthier's pickup. It doesn't really sound super good, but to me at the time it was perfect. And just the evil stuff on it. And the best part is that it's signed by Kerry King. Fuck yeah.
Did you meet Kerry? Fun?
I just recently met him in Poland at the dance festival. At Mystic Festival. So Frank Bello introduced me to him.
Yes.
It was. I actually made a video on that painting. So
okay. But that's crazy.
It was crazy, and it was. But I mean, I've met so many of my, my heroes, that now I don't really get super starstruck anymore, which I think it just makes a better environment, because then we can talk like normal human beings. They feel more comfortable this way. I feel more comfortable. So they made me feel super comfortable in there, because we went to their dressing room and just had some nice time. So it was awesome. But yeah, super normal guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, but this we're gonna polish it, and I try to put on the Dean from her dime bolt scheme on it.
That's like a lot of space for it. So
yeah, I think it will look great. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know when
you would need some.
When will I find the time to do it? But I will do it eventually. Because this shape has always been a big favorite of mine. It's always been the
Warlock, right?
It's the Warlock, huh?
Warlock.
Yes, it's the Warlock because of Kerry, and also Max Cavalera used to have this. The white one he used, it was so cool.
I was always into the Mockingbird shape for some reason, but I never had one.
Okay. I mean, having a first guitar like this was amazing. It shows my parents' support. Just put it here.
So nice. As a souvenir.
Yeah.
But man, if you can make it happen, if you can make it work, for live shows.
Mm-hmm. Maybe every once in a while just do some videos with it, and it's a fun project that I want to explore.
I sold out my first. Actually, I sold my first proper guitar was the kind of acoustic guitar.
steel or nylon?
Steel.
Oh,
I mean, the
difficult.
first was like it was like kind of like this old like Russian style guitar. It has like
Big action.
The action was like this.
Mhm.
I literally cut my fingers like to flesh.
Right.
So it was like.
Yeah, right.
But when I just pulled off like first songs, it was like House of the Rising Sun. So when I learned how to like push.
Yeah, it's difficult.
The bar, like
Right.
then I was like.
Especially with that F or whatever.
Yeah, the
chord,
F
that
chord
is
is like
crazy.
So that's why it's called it's called F chord, because everyone was like, "Fuck, I don't need it anymore." Just let's
Fuck this chord.
fuck this chord. I'm not gonna play it anymore.
For sure. Yeah.
But that was the
I used to
best, yeah.
like that.
So that was then I just got like this acoustic one, and I sold it to buy my first electric guitar, and it was kind of like
on your own? Wow.
Yeah, so
That has its magic, I would imagine. Right?
Yeah, but I was like already like 19 or 20, so it was like really late when I actually started to.
And how was it with your parents? Were they supportive or not so much, or
yeah, not
in
really,
between?
actually, I mean, every time I just picked up guitar, it was like it was something important to do at home. All of a sudden it was coming up, so it was
Cleanings and whatnot?
Yeah. So the practice was a little bit of like.
Do you think
like
it was because the noise were bothering them?
Probably,
Or
yeah,
just...
because I had like a small combo, like a Fender, like and I
Right.
was like, it was all like
the louder
like
the better.
hissing, like terrible stuff.
I'm happy that you passed through that phase. It's I see that it's difficult because many times parents want the best, but it's sometimes it's not the best for the
kid, yeah.
For the kid, yeah. I'm not saying that it's not judging, but
no, it's like
I see this happens every once in a while. Yeah.
But it helps, yeah. So as you said, like you had from a very beginning, you had the support of your like
Yeah,
family, and
yeah, it was definitely very helpful for me, for sure.
So after that, like okay, so you had Leander and
Yes, that lasted for 5 years. We put out 2 albums, which I'm very proud of. But over the years, our goals, it seemed to be like we were not on the same page, and it was just a lot of tension within the band. So it eventually led to its end after 5 years. After that, for a year, I didn't really do anything, and then maybe like a half a year after that, I started to put together that solo album, which I put together under the name of Strength of Will, which I'm very proud of. But
it's good.
So yeah.
I was listening to it a lot of times.
Cool. It's a difficult listen. I mean, if somebody likes Nevermore, then it might be a little easier because there's just a lot of stuff. It's very
but it's like very kind of like how to say that diverse and like musically diverse. So you just some acoustic stuff, some really like heavy, like with the soloing, some maybe more kind of like a metalcore venue. Venue,
yeah. No, I hear you, and it's like we talked about. Like you also like when a band evolves and puts out different stuff. And for once, this was like my first solo thing, so the pressure was kind of bigger. I wanted to show my everything, like put everything in it. And also many of the songs I wrote over the years, and then just a couple I wrote when I started to really work it out. So that also makes it more diverse. But I wanted the album to be diverse. I wanted to the order of the songs, everything has a meaning to me.
Yeah, that's actually very important. Like as you said, like the songs are diverse, but the order of the songs. So whatever just you put to the album, like just to keep it interesting, because nowadays, like the focus span of people is getting lower and lower. So not really many people are actually listening to like the entire album. Back in the days it was like a normal. So when you finally got the album, then you were kind of like listening to it for like weeks, months.
Right, of course, yes.
And then you kind of like, even now, it doesn't sound that good, the album, like comparing to the production and so on, but you still can appreciate it, like from that perspective. So
yeah, I mean, again, we're the same generation. That's how I grew up, and with the Discmans and all that. And I decided what to listen that day, and that was it. And it was just very few bands where I skipped songs which I didn't really like. I mean, it was always a journey for me. So to me, that's what I wanted. I didn't have any goals. I think I was aware that I couldn't accept the kind of success that we had with Leander Rising or anything like that. So I just did it for myself. And I also wanted to have sort of like a showcase, this is me, this is what I can do. So what I can show to the world and get back into the music business kind of thinking that was also behind.
Do you think that you will come up with another like solo album anytime soon? Or
Yeah.
That's a tricky question.
With schedules and dates, I don't dare to say anything because it's never working out like that if it's not super planned. But I would definitely want to do something, not necessarily like totally solo, maybe like a couple songs, but it has to be to me sort of a project in order to make it interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have expectations on having building up a band. I mean, we have a band, Live Life Hard, which was formed 3 years ago, but it's very difficult to build a band and put the effort and the time, everything into it, and expect it to grow. And everybody has to be on the same page. And it's just, I don't want to fight with anyone. I just want to have fun. So if it's a hobby or just for fun, I can see that happen more. And with solo albums, it's kind of the same. So there has to be some sort of a goal in order to do that. But now I actually would like to move away a little bit from being, quote unquote, just a guy who plays Pantera stuff and that make things, which is a big part of me and my life. But I feel like I have a lot more to say, like from my perspective. So I definitely want to do more of that.
But speaking of Pantera, and because that's pretty much how I mean. That's pretty much how I rediscovered you, because first time I saw you like with the Nevermore, I haven't been to the gig, but I saw the videos,
right?
The Termination Proclamation riff. I can't play it. It's like I probably broke my fingers still, but just that was the one. And then like I found you like by accident. I was like I think somewhere nearby Pandemic.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I need to do something with my playing, so I just wanted to find something like just to practice, just to focus on something
right,
like productive. I think there's the community of like fans of Pantera and like people who are like, trying to keep the Dimebag's legacy like going. Man, people owe you a lot because you did so many like tutorials and you're teaching people actually how to play this stuff correctly, and so I know that you were opening for Pantera, the recent Pantera, like in here, and I know that you met the guys.
Yeah.
So how it was for you? I mean, how did they like take you? Were they aware of you? And
wow. So I mean, thank you for this kind of feedback. I mean, like every once in a while, I got some people commenting like, how much it means to them. Like they picked up the guitar again, or they always wanted to figure this or that out, and they thanked me for that. And those are the kind of comments that has always been warming my heart the most. But it's still hard to wrap my head around, like being that one guy who does maybe more for the legacy. I don't think I do. I do a specific part, for sure, and I do it with just passion and love. The meeting with them came about, and whether they were aware of what they were doing, it was like this. So in 2020, before the pandemic, I played at Dime Bash. I had some mutual friends with Rita, and so my name got there through them, I think. I'm pretty certain. I guess they checked out my stuffs, and so one day, not much before the show, I got an email from Rita telling me like these are the songs that if I want I can play, and if it's okay maybe I can play also Mouthful or what. I was like, what? It's amazing. And then I there in person I ended up playing more songs, and I also fit in for some guys like the day before at the rehearsal because not everybody could make it. I played also a song, or I was gonna play 2 songs, Dimesh with Charlie. There was some sort of a connection with him, and we had again mutual friends. And when the whole gossip started that came out that like really that now it's probably happening with them coming together to celebrate Pantera, that's where my name was put out within the camp. And it was, to be honest, kind of a relief when I heard that Zach is doing it, because I had a week and a half of like, am I gonna get a call or whatnot? It's just miserable. I couldn't sleep. It was intense. So it was literally a relief. Like, oh, fine, it's over. I don't have to be anxious about that. But we kept in touch, and when they played in Hungary, it was a double show. The first day we played before them, opening up for them. But we didn't really get to meet. It was very hectic. It was their first show of that tour. Things were just coming together. It was all security concerns and whatnot. So the second day, when I got there, during their sound check, I was, when I got out of the cab, somebody, their photographer from the camp, he noticed me and he was like, come on, and he brought me in. And then the first guy who I've met was Zach. I went straight on stage, and he was like, Attila, my teacher. Like, I was like, what? It was so surreal. It's like he was super cool, super kind, goofy, and we just had like a 20-minute conversation about music and the business, and just, they were super cool. They invited me to backstage, and then I met with the other guys, and it turned out that everybody was aware of me. I actually jammed a little bit with Charlie in the backstage room on acoustic guitar, and for a short period of time even Phil just checked in, and he sang over Warner, which we played. So it was ridiculous, surreal stuff. I hung out with Rex in his dressing room. It's just they were very friendly, and it's just insane. And you've probably seen the video where Zach sent me 2 guitars. He already at that time he told me, like, he asked me for my address. He said that he was gonna send me something. He didn't say what. And then when we met,
nice something, man.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, surreal. Like, I mean, I live a very fortunate life. I know that. I am aware of that. Many times I can be grateful for that, and most of the times I try to be. So yeah, I don't know if that answers all the questions.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it's like
again from Adam and Eve. I start their stories.
Yeah, but nobody's said that it's gonna be like short one.
True.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, just I promise it's probably the last one.
If you have more, just
because now you're like touring with Satyricon.
Yes.
And you're like playing in a band with Frank from the Anthrax.
Yes.
So again, it's like a
crazy
icon.
Yes, we can freely say that, because out of the big 4, to me it's always been Slayer and Anthrax that are the favorites, and even for my dad, Anthrax is a band that he always loved, and Frank was his favorite. So to me, it's an extra layer of personal attachment to the whole thing, that I get to play with him, and so yeah, it's also surreal, but now where I am, it's kind of I understand when I see the whole story, so I feel normal with him, and he's just one of the absolute most down-to-earth rock star I've ever met. So we clicked instantly, and we became friends like almost immediately. So it's amazing to play with him.
So how many rehearsals did you had like before hitting the stage?
Yeah, so I was on tour with another band, and so I came a little later and was there for for a long week, like a little more than a week. So we had like I think 5 rehearsals altogether, but it's like intense, like long rehearsals.
Yeah. But you've been like playing,
and I used to play with them before, so to me it was not a new situation. I had to relearn the songs, but I knew the nuances. That aspect of learning and preparing, I was aware of, and I prepared myself.
I regret I wasn't able to get to Gdańsk when you were playing there, but it's actually like I'm closer to Budapest.
It's a big country for sure.
Yeah, so.
Well, I hope if it all goes accordingly and well, and maybe even before this comes out, you could come to Brutal Assault, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, so I have one more.
Yes.
So I hope it's not gonna be like but you are now officially like with solar guitars.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of Dimebag, I know that you played with Ola as well.
Yeah.
So, as much as you, I think Ola is also kind of like a torchbearer of the Pantera legacy and the stuff.
Right.
So, I think how did it come like that you became the part of the family of Solar?
Right. So it ended up being a longer story than it could have been. Because at Dimebag, it was the first time when we ever met in person. I think prior to that, maybe there were some very short and basic interactions, like commenting on each other's stuff and whatnot. And I think even prior that, he shout out for me for some videos in his content. So there was that. When we met, I was very happy for first that to see that I will play 2 Sepultura songs, the ones that I first heard, like Refused. I couldn't really
get KSAD, right?
Yes,
your record.
When I was 10. Actually, I got so happy when I saw that I didn't even see that I'm also playing Roots. I was so happy. I was just, dropped everything. I'm gonna be playing that with Derek Green and Ola and Roy Mayorga. Jesus, that's awesome. So yeah, but he was there for the rehearsal, so before the show in Dimebag. So we jammed there a little bit. He was super cool. I think I asked him if he wants to play the solos, and he was like, "You should play that." So it's like, okay, cool. Very down to earth, very normal. I don't know if it was. I think it was after the show when I went and visited the booth because I wanted to see the Solar guitars. I always love the Explorer shape, especially. I went there and he approached me if I would be open to some sort of a relationship together, which was amazing at the time. And I kind of felt like with Schecter, it wasn't moving forward anymore. And also I was approached by Comparison, which they put out the super stretch shapes, which I haven't just because of Jeff. I love the 7 strings, but the headstock I always loved.
In Comparison,
the Comparison reversed headstock was like, it's always because I'm a big Chris Amott and Michael Amott fan, so that's why I've been aware of the brand. And so it was like Solar and Comparison. I was like, oh my god, I want to do this. And I after the Dimebag, I decided to put out more contents like related to Dimebag and Pantera. That's when the decision was made. I also reached out to Schecter, like just told them straight that I was approached by other companies, but I really like the E-shape. They told me that they would like me to stay, and then they offered me to have a custom paint job guitar made by Chewy, who used to be the Dimes person, so Washburns. The Dime Bolt.
The Dime Bolt one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how that, and I couldn't say no to that. So I was like, I rejected that offer for both of us, Comparison and Solar, because I was like, I need that guitar from Chewy. That was the thinking. So I stayed there. What happened then is when I was preparing for this summer tour with Satyricon, we were originally gonna play a few songs with a baritone scale guitar, and I don't have a baritone guitar, and so I reached out to Ola if they could lend me a Solar E baritone guitar, which I again always loved. He introduced me to Joel, he's one of his partner, He deals with the artists. And I think it was Joel who said first to me that they can lend the guitar, they found one, it's okay, it's a go. But they are thinking about making the relationship like closer, in a sense, and if I would be open to the idea. And to be honest, there's no other brands out there that put out like the kind of shape of guitars that I like as much as I like the Solars. Because again, with the comparison, the reversed headstock, it reminds me of the comparison headstock, which I always been a fan of. I love the reverse headstock a lot. And of course the extreme shapes like the E1 and the X guitars, that are, of course, they resonated with me deeply. So it ended up not being an instant yes, only because prior to that I went to Dime's house and I got to do that with Grady. And when we were talking about Dime Guitars, which is a brand that hopefully is coming out very soon.
It's Dean Zielinski, right?
Yes, so it has Dean Zielinski on board, it's Rita and Grady who are like the three main persons in that camp. So, and Grady told me that they are open to have a relationship like that with me. So it's sort of a childhood dream that I never even dreamed of. It's like, but being able to work with them was like surreal again. So I was in between the two worlds. Like that to me is kind of like I felt like, because I want to be there. I told like Joel that that's the situation I'm in. That's the only company I would like to be part of as a family. But I got this Dime Guitars thing hanging in the air for the possible future. So I don't know. So they were like, they want to work with me like what's the word, like exclusively. So it wouldn't fit. And then a few days passed by. I just kept thinking about the whole thing, and that few days I was like, I kind of started to change there was a shift in my thinking that the Dime Guitars thing, it's very it's more of a romantic thing for me, but I want to move away a little bit from the Dime thing also. So there's more future for me in that sense with Solar. And also the way that he represents, like he was talking about how the company runs, how much it's still a family business, that they want to keep it that way. And that's something I've never been a part of, and I always wanted to be a part of. I like to be a team player and work in a team, work for someone, with someone. And I never got that before. After like maybe 5 days, he reached out to me again, like, hey man, we want to talk. I knew that. Yes. That's where I landed. So then very soon we talked, and that's when we took it to the next level. So now I'm very proud and honored part of their family.
Nowadays you're using like the X-shaped, so it's like
the Kirk Weinstein guitar. Yes, it fitted everything that I wanted. Like it had two nomadic systems, so that I can, when I'm on tour and learn different songs and different contents I make, I need to change the tunings a lot. So for that I need a standard fixed bridge, and just the color, the scale length, everything is just a perfect fit for me now. But I also have that e-guitar, the white one, which was sent for me by Ola back then after the Dime Bash. And he never asked me to send back the guitar, and I kind of just didn't do it, forgot about it, and it just, the time, as time passed by, it was like more difficult, and then just I was like, I don't know. And then it stayed, so...
It is where it's supposed to be, I guess.
I'm very happy that it stayed with me, because now I've been using it for a while now. Even before I actually ended up being a Solar player, I started to use it live. Over the past couple of years, my relationship kind of faded, because they didn't say at first for me that they want me to exclusively use the guitars. And I did some videos with the Solar guitar, and I did many videos with the Dime guitars, of course, because I wanted to do the Pantera videos with Pantera guitars, because as a fan, that's what I would want to see. But now I want to mix up a little bit too, so yeah. Long story long.
Long story long, but yeah, I think...
Yes.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You're a natural. I mean, you're the first one for me, but
I've never done it before, so it's like I've never had like interview.
Yeah, right.
Like I've never like led interview that way. So
no, it was. I think it's great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I hope that you did too.
Yeah,
and that's all what matters.
Pleasure, man. It's like with that.
You have to come here and just say hi.
Hi. Oh my.
That's the beautiful wife there. Hello.
Hello.
Lucky you. Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to ask you, would you be willing to play the ukulele for us on video?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Dziś późno pójdę spać, gdy wszyscy będą w łóżkach. Otwarte oczy mam, a głowa pełna i pusta. I nie wiem, o czym myśleć mam, żeby mi się przyśnił taki świat, w którym się nie boję spać, w którym się nie boję spać. W namie idzie tłum, i dobrze wszystko po drodze. Nie mogę uciec mu. On też przed sobą nie może. Gwiazdów nie widać, no bo jak kiedy u nas ziemi bije tak, jak gdyby chciało zalać świat, jak gdyby chciało zalać świat. Choć nie chcę budzić się, nie umiem spać. Świat dziwny jest jak sen, a sen jak świat. Choć nie chcę budzić się, nie umiem spać. Świat dziwny jest jak sen, a sen jak świat. Nie mogę ruszyć w przód, nóg sklejone taśmami. Zaczynam spadać w dół, spadam do góry nogami. Myślę sobie, zaraz obudzę się. Im bardziej spadam, tym bardziej widzę, że to wszystko chyba nie jest sen. To wszystko chyba nie jest sen. Choć nie chcę budzić się, nie umiem spać. Świat dziwny jest jak sen, a sen jak świat. Choć nie chcę budzić się, nie umiem spać. Świat dziwny jest jak sen, a sen jak świat. Choć nie chcę budzić się, nie umiem spać. Świat dziwny jest jak sen, a sen jak świat. Choć nie chcę budzić się, nie umiem spać. Świat dziwny jest jak sen, a sen jak świat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
So
very
new
beautiful.
generation is like on the way.
Yeah. There's a lot of depth there for sure. That was awesome.